The secret we've all but forgotten. Picture this. It's the depths of winter. Your heating system is on full blast, yet a persistent shiver runs through you. Now, envision your ancestors, without electricity, insulation, or modern heating, sleeping more comfortably than you are right now. How could this be? What wisdom did they possess that has eluded us completely? For a fleeting 15 seconds, reflect on this chilling reality. Your forebears could endure, and did endure, storms capable of paralyzing entire modern metropolises. They achieved this with methods so basic, so brilliant, and so subtly potent that contemporary science is just beginning to grasp their efficacy. Welcome to the overnight warmth rule that your grandparents intuitively followed. Now, transport yourself to 1692. The New England winter rages outside, frost creeping down window panes, and a biting gust capable of extinguishing a candle within your bedroom. There's no hum of central heating, no electric blanket warming the sheets. Yet somehow, amidst this brutal cold, your ancestors slept enveloped in a steady, almost mystical warmth. Their secret? They adhered to a principle we've largely abandoned in the modern era, a principle that sustained generations through winters far more severe than anything we encounter today. They didn't even name it, considering it self-evident. Today, we term it the overnight warmth rule. In our current world, we perceive heat as something to be consumed. We turn a dial, await the air's warmth, and endeavour to heat the entire house. However, our ancestors understood warmth as a finite resource, something to be managed, conserved, trapped, and preserved. They eschewed wasting energy on empty spaces, instead focusing on a far more efficient and innately human approach, warming people, not places. This evening, on History Prime, we journey back to an era where survival hinged on mastering the minutiae of comfort. We'll unveil the ingenious, sometimes perilous, and surprisingly scientific techniques our ancestors employed to create what modern researchers now label the microclimate. From copper warming pans linked to the darkest chapters of the Salem witch trials, to the floor-heating brilliance of ancient Korea, to the textile secrets your grandmother swore by, you're about to discover that ancient customs weren't primitive. They were meticulously engineered. So, the ultimate question is, are you prepared to reclaim the comfort your ancestors never relinquished? Let's commence and unravel the rule they consistently upheld. Part 1. The Tools of the Biological Hearth. To comprehend how our ancestors survived nights that would turn most of us to ice, we begin with the initial phase of the overnight warmth rule, metabolic priming. They recognized a truth we frequently overlook. You must enter bed already warm. You need to ignite your internal biological hearth before settling in. Nothing epitomized this wisdom more than the 17th century warming pan. A polished copper or brass pan with a long handle, filled with glowing embers from the fireplace. This wasn't merely a utensil, it was a cherished family artifact, a nightly ritual, a simple act that transformed a frigid bed into a cocoon of radiating heat. Families would slide the warming pan between the sheets, infusing the bedding with warmth, much as we charge a battery today. Yet, even this comforting ritual carries a somber tale. One renowned warming pan, now in the Rosenberg Library, once belonged to John Proctor. Yes, the man executed during the Salem witch trials. A stark reminder that even amidst fear, accusation, and uproar, the fundamental human need for warmth remained constant and profoundly personal. Naturally, glowing coals presented risks. By the 18th century, physicians began advising families to use hot sand instead, a safer, cleaner, and equally effective alternative. For larger beds, innovation progressed further. Enter the bedwagon, or monk, a wooden arch positioned beneath the blankets, allowing a pot of fuel to radiate heat without the fabric contacting the flame. A protective shell of warmth meticulously designed long before safety standards existed. But if a family lacked copper pans or wooden frames, they relied on the unsung hero of winter survival: soapstone. Dense, heat-retaining, and capable of radiating warmth for 6 to 8 hours, it became the 18th century equivalent of a high-capacity power bank when wrapped in flannel and placed at the foot of the bed. Through all these implements, pans, sand, wagons, stones, our ancestors adhered to the same principle. Don't heat the room. Don't squander fuel. Prime the warmth where it matters most, within your body's own microclimate. And this was just the genesis of the overnight warmth rule. Part 2. The Fabric Bastion. Why wool reigns supreme. With the bed now primed and radiating stored heat, we transition to the second stage of the overnight warmth rule, a skill our ancestors mastered so instinctively that modern science is only now beginning to unravel its intricacies. They constructed what I term the textile fortress, because once heat is generated, its preservation becomes paramount, and nothing captures warmth like wool. Wool is not merely a fabric, it's a marvel of natural engineering. A magnified single wool fibre, resembling a mountain range, reveals minute crimped ridges that twist and flex like springs. This crimp creates millions of microscopic air pockets, each a tiny vault of insulation. Synthetic blankets, while soft, are smooth, non-breathable, and often stifling. They trap moisture, inducing perspiration, and then mercilessly dissipate heat the moment that moisture cools. Wool, however, behaves uniquely. Herein lies its true magic. Wool performs an almost alchemical feat known as heat absorption. When wool absorbs moisture, vapor from your sweat, your breath, even the humidity in your room, it triggers a microscopic chemical reaction that releases heat rather than trapping or stealing it. 1 kilogram of merino wool can generate as much warmth over 8 hours as an electric blanket on a low setting. Your grandparents lacked the term heat absorption, but they understood its effect. Wool kept you warm even in a freezing room. Wool kept you dry even when you perspired. Wool kept you alive. And that was crucial, as not all fabrics were so accommodating. In the colonial era, a saying, whispered with a seriousness that seems dramatic today, cautioned, "Cotton kills in the cold." Cotton absorbs moisture like a sponge. Once wet, it collapses, clings to the skin, and siphons heat away from the body like an icy hand. Wool, conversely, can retain nearly a third of its weight in moisture without ever feeling damp. Its fibre structure lifts moisture away from your skin, locks it into its core, and continues to produce gentle warmth as it works. This is why frontier families, Arctic explorers, and shepherds on wind-swept hills entrusted their lives to wool. Now consider this. Have you ever awakened in the dead of night, feeling clammy, chilled, or simply inexplicably uncomfortable, despite your blanket feeling cozy when you first settled in. That's not you. That's your modern bedding failing the overnight warmth rule. Perhaps, just perhaps, the key to your deepest, warmest, most restorative sleep isn't another gadget or a higher thermostat setting. Perhaps it's the same wisdom your grandparents practiced unfailingly every night. Revert to natural fibers, construct your own textile fortress, and allow wool to perform its age-old function, retaining warmth where it truly belongs. Part 3. The Architecture of Sleep. A room within a room. Having explored how our ancestors primed and trapped warmth, we now delve into the third phase of the overnight warmth rule, one of the most ingenious and visually striking solutions ever conceived. This phase shifts from what you wear to where you sleep, representing a silent masterpiece of ancestral engineering, the architecture of sleep. And at the core of that architecture stands the canopy bed. Today we perceive canopy beds as symbols of luxury, ornate posts, flowing curtains, something befitting palaces or storybooks. Historically, however, the canopy bed arose not from ostentation, but from stark necessity. In medieval castles, drafty colonial homes, and cabins where walls rattled under winter gales, a canopy bed transformed into a room within a room. Families didn't attempt to heat the entire chamber. They simply enclosed the small area where warmth was most critical. Imagine heavy velvet or wool curtains drawn at night. With a single, simple action, the sleeper created a sealed cocoon where body heat, breath, and warmth were captured and recycled. Instead of ascending into the rafters or dissipating through cracks in wooden walls, warmth gently swirled around the sleeper, forming a tiny, perfectly regulated microclimate. A microclimate so effective that modern thermal engineers still study this principle today. This was what people sometimes called the cozy box, a soft-walled sanctuary that converted even a freezing room into a pocket of comfort, a greenhouse of human warmth. But the canopy bed did more than combat cold. In the 16th and 17th centuries, many families resided in shared halls, where privacy was scarce, noise was constant, drafts permeated every seam in the house, and dust, insects, and debris could fall from thatched roofs during the night. Bed curtains created the sole protected haven where a person could seclude themselves from the world and sleep peacefully. And then there was the apprehension of the night air. People believed darkness carried illness, that cold night breezes could infiltrate the body and cause disease. Although the belief was erroneous, the solution, enclosing oneself behind thick, insulating curtains, inadvertently created one of the most effective survival strategies ever devised. By sealing in warmth while still permitting a hint of airflow, the canopy bed provided a delicate balance between insulation and breathability. What appeared to be mere furniture was, in fact, thermal engineering. What seemed like decoration was, in essence, survival. As you snuggle under your contemporary duvet tonight, remember this crucial insight. Your forebears weren't just enduring the cold, they were actively engineering their own comfortable microclimates. This series, One Night at a Time, continues with Part 4, Global Masters of the Rule, delving deeper into the overnight warmth principle. It becomes evident that this ancient knowledge spanned beyond European and early American boundaries. Across diverse lands and climates, humanity consistently grasped one fundamental truth. True warmth doesn't necessitate heating the entirety of a space. Instead, it requires warming the individuals within it. This represented global survival engineering at its zenith, with each civilization perfecting its unique approach to spatial efficiency. Our journey begins in Korea, the birthplace of one of history's most brilliant heating innovations, the ondol, or heated stone floor. Millennia ago, Koreans ingeniously directed smoke and heat from their kitchen hearths through a network of stone-lined flues beneath their floors. These stones absorbed heat throughout the day, transforming the entire floor into a vast thermal battery. As night descended, this stored heat radiated gently upwards, enveloping the room in a perfectly even, consistent warmth, without a single visible flame. This remarkable system is why Koreans traditionally sat, dined, and even slept directly on the floor, because in a Korean dwelling, the floor represented the warmest, safest, and most inviting spot in the entire house. The ondol's effectiveness was so profound that upon experiencing it firsthand, American architect Frank Lloyd Wright became captivated, subsequently helping to popularize radiant floor heating in the modern Western world. Meanwhile, in Japan, an equally clever concept materialized: the kotatsu. Envision a low wooden table, beneath which rests a heat source, entirely draped with a thick quilt. Families would gather, tucking their legs beneath, sharing a single, efficient source of warmth, rather than expending fuel to heat an entire room. The kotatsu did more than just warm bodies. It fostered a communal hub, drawing people together during the coldest months. Thousands of miles away in Afghanistan, a similar invention, the corsi, emerged, a central sunken pit housing a heat source, covered by a heavy blanket, effectively serving as the pulsating heart of the home throughout winter. Whether nestled in the mountains of Central Asia or across the snow-laden plains of Japan, these cultures universally embrace the same core tenet: warm the person, not the encompassing space, not the ambient air, but the human being. The Korean ondol, the Japanese kotatsu, the Afghan corsi. All these systems underscore the same intuitive understanding shared by our grandparents. The most intelligent heating is targeted heating, prioritizing efficiency, localization, and human comfort. As you sit in your contemporary home today, surrounded by humming vents and glowing thermostats, it's worth pondering. Have we perhaps overlooked the very expertise our ancestors mastered? Not the specific technologies, but the profound wisdom of utilizing heat with purpose, precision, and a deep respect for how the human body genuinely interacts with warmth. For countless millennia, humanity across the globe adhered to the overnight warmth rule, navigating winters that are almost unfathomable to us today. Part 5. Modern Science, the 3 microclimates. At this juncture, you might be thinking, all this ancient wisdom sounds intriguing, but I reside in a 2024 apartment. How is any of this relevant to me tonight? Here's the unexpected revelation. Contemporary sleep science has unequivocally validated that our grandparents, despite lacking laboratories, gadgets, or thermal imaging, were absolutely correct. Their innate understanding perfectly aligns with what researchers now identify as the 3 microclimates. Grasping these 3 distinct layers can completely revolutionize your sleep experience. To achieve truly deep, restorative sleep, your body must reduce its core temperature by approximately 1 degree. If the surrounding air is excessively warm, humid, or stagnant, your heart rate will escalate, your sleep will become fragmented, and you'll awaken feeling fatigued, even after 8 hours in bed. So, let's unveil the scientific principles hidden beneath your bedding. The initial layer is the mattress skin microclimate. This is the zone where heat and moisture accumulate most rapidly. When this layer overheats, your entire body struggles to regulate its temperature. Our ancestors effortlessly overcame this challenge. They utilized wool mattress pads, not for their softness, but because wool naturally breathes, insulates, and wicks away moisture. It maintained this crucial first layer dry and stable long before the concept of a microclimate even existed. Next comes the pajama skin microclimate, which researchers now consider the most influential layer of all. This layer is in direct contact with your body and governs everything from humidity levels to overall thermal comfort. Loose-fitting garments crafted from natural fibers, linen, cotton, flannel, and especially wool, enable your skin to regulate heat precisely as nature intended. Synthetic fabrics, regardless of their initial cozy feel, trap moisture, cause your temperature to spike, and instantly nourish the overnight warmth rule. Finally, we arrive at the outermost shell, the skin duvet microclimate, your thermal cocoon. Scientific findings indicate that the ideal temperature within this layer ranges between 31 and 34 degrees Celsius. Excessive heat will lead to sweating, while too little will induce shivering. A properly layered wool blanket doesn't merely insulate, it acts as a buffer, stabilizing temperature like a living thermostat. Now, consider this. Your grandmother didn't study thermal physiology. She didn't pore over peer-reviewed sleep studies. She simply used wool blankets, flannel pajamas, and slightly opened her bedroom window to maintain a cool macroclimate. Unbeknownst to her, she was meticulously crafting the precise sleep environment that modern researchers now advocate. 3 microclimates, 3 layers embodying ancient wisdom, and the profound realization that perfect sleep has nothing to do with heating the entire house, and everything to do with mastering the minuscule world that exists mere millimeters from your skin. This is the overnight warmth rule, integrated into modern science, and soon to be integrated into your own bedroom. Conclusion: bringing the rule home. As we conclude this expedition, spanning warming pans to wool fortresses, from canopy beds to Korean stone floors, you might uncover a surprising truth. The overnight warmth rule is not merely a relic of the past. It's a practical blueprint we can still employ tonight, within our modern homes and with our contemporary comforts, to achieve warmer, deeper, and far more natural sleep than we currently experience. So, what tangible lessons can we draw from this forgotten principle? Firstly, cease attempts to heat your entire home to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 24 degrees Celsius, throughout the night. This not only depletes your finances and harms the environment, but critically, it contradicts the biology of healthy sleep. Our ancestors were neither weak nor primitive. They were incredibly efficient. They understood that warmth doesn't originate from saturating a room with hot air. It stems from concentrating heat precisely where it's required. Heat the person, not the place. This ancient philosophy remains the most effective system available to us, and applying it today is surprisingly straightforward. You can begin by investing in a quality wool blanket, one possessing genuine weight and breathability. You might try preparing your biological hearth with a warm bath or even a cup of golden milk, turmeric, nutmeg, and warmth collaborating to signal your body that it's time to unwind. Then, construct your microclimates layer by layer. Allow the ambient air to remain cool. Let your blankets provide the insulation. Permit your body to settle into that perfectly balanced cocoon your grandparents expertly fashioned every single night, without ever uttering the word science. Because when you adhere to the overnight warmth rule, you're not just staying warm, you're training your body to become more resilient. You're activating brown fat, fortifying your internal thermostat, and cultivating the kind of serene, restorative sleep that modern life subtly erodes. Our ancestors endured winters that would paralyze entire cities today. They achieved this without electrical switches, without oil furnaces, and without climate-controlled bedrooms. They accomplished it through ingenuity, resourcefulness, and a profound comprehension of how the human body retains heat. So now the question is, which aspect of the rule will you embrace tonight? Will you experiment with wool? Will you adopt a warming ritual? Or will you embark on building your own miniature microclimate within your blankets? Share your discoveries in the comments. We always relish hearing about your experiences. Thank you for watching History Prime. And remember, the past is more than just a chronological sequence. It's a manual for living more sagaciously, more warmly, and more fulfilling lives today. Before you go, hold this single image in your mind. Your body is a biological hearth. Modern heating endeavours to warm an entire forest merely to sustain that singular flame. However, ancestral heating, epitomised by the overnight warmth rule, involves crafting a small, stone-lined pit, protecting it, sheltering it, and enveloping the flame with precisely what it needs. It is not about the quantity of fuel you consume,